Welcome to the 10th episode of Accessibility Now, stories about accessibility in Georgia.
If it wasn't for Disability Connection kind of helping me push this thing through, I wouldn't have got this far. So I'm so grateful. I am so grateful.
Accessibility Now is a podcast produced by the statewide Independent Living Council of Georgia. I'm your host, Desi Gillespie, and today we're speaking with the folks at Disability Connections, the Center for Independent Living, or CIL, serving 12 counties in the Macon-Bibb area. They serve a diverse range of communities, from rural counties in Middle Georgia to towns that border Metro Atlanta. Recently, they've branched into cyberspace with various online communities at disabilityconnections.com and disabilityconnections.tv. These efforts might just represent the next step in the evolution of CILs in the 21st century, but we'll get more into that later. First, we'll be hearing from Michael Leverett, the Executive Director of Disability Connections, who's uniquely positioned to speak about the changes he's seen over the years.
My involvement with Disability Connections actually goes down to the very beginning. After college, I graduated from the University of Georgia and worked for a few television stations and a production company after that. And my wife and I were trying to get into, we're looking at occupational therapy. She has a form of muscular dystrophy called Charcot-Marie-Tooth, and she and I were looking for, we looked at applying for occupational therapy, and there were so many candidates trying to get into that. But in 95, we saw the need for assistive technology and something in Macon to kind of be a center of sorts in regards to people with physical disabilities, as I was working with some people with alternative augmentative communication issues. And so the director, John Chandler, pulled out a folder and said, "Hey, we applied for this before, but why don't we put a flyer out there and get the word out and see what we can do to get something started." So we did that, and we put it out there, and 80 people showed up the very first visit. So there was a huge thirst for disability-related services, especially for those who were not being served. The big hole of physical disabilities was huge at that time. And so he helped us get it incorporated, and we eventually did some fundraisers and got into a small information resource for referral contract. We needed to have somebody lead and take this, many steps forward. My wife got off the board so she could apply, and other people applied, but she got the position. But she did it with only a year worth of part-time funding, and she left a full-time job to do this. And she was at that very same time began using a walker. And she traveled all over Macon trying to get connected with community resources and different things. And in the span of time up to 97, we were doing home modifications, independent care waiver case management, and different things. And we were working towards the road to become a federally funded Center for Independent Living, which happened about 2001, I believe. And she was a director for about 17 years and recently retired, I guess, in 2013. It was soon after that I became the executive director.
A lot has changed over the more than 2 decades since Disability Connections started helping people in Middle Georgia. Some methods stay the same, while others have adapted for a new time.
And a lot of it revolves around nursing home transition work that we did. We were doing that in the very, very beginning. There's a great story, and I can maybe share this from years past. A woman that when I was working with the AmeriCorps program, we were trying to get this lady out. She was blind and had cerebral palsy, and she's still living on her own. It's been, I don't know, close to 20 years since more than 20 years since she's been out, and she's happy and doing great. Now, the nature of people that we're serving certainly has changed, and I think a lot has to do with the expansion of, or should I say, the explosion of autism, for one. That certainly has changed a lot of dynamic of how we're doing services. And the new thing is being more involved in youth transition. And so we've got a lot of cool things that we're trying to do with that. But the disability rights movement has changed in a lot of ways too. And I talked to Mark Johnson a good bit. The barriers are less, but they are certainly still there. And then sometimes a lot of folks don't know where all this came from. And so where we're trying real hard to orient our program to give a lot of education on independent living, what it is, what it means, and what does independence mean.
Disability Connections has become a kind of media powerhouse, offering online courses, forums, podcasts, and videos for their consumers. Their team will soon start producing cooking videos and assistive technology reviews from their accessible demonstration kitchen. They believe that these new approaches will better attract both the young and far-flung members of the disability community.
One thing that we did during the pandemic and is actually try to build our community online space. So we started a community just a year ago. It's disabilityconnections.tv, and it's open to anybody, anywhere. We had somebody from New York and other places in the country that have joined it, but we have now over 200 people. I mean, it's growing every week. And one way that it is growing is we have a budgeting course that's in there, and we have different courses that are in there. So you can have discussions around the course and different events. We can have live events, and we haven't really broken this thing out to its full extent. But we have a lot of members now, but there's a huge majority of them that have joined us because they want to be referred to the Macon Bibb Housing Authority to be considered for a Section 8 voucher. So we ended up having a memorandum of understanding with our housing authority. So they tell us how many people we can refer each month. And so if there's somebody getting out of the nursing home, we jump them to that on top of the list and we refer them. But what's been unique is that they have asked us, and we don't get any additional funding for this, but they've asked us to manage their disability waiting list. And I can tell you it's over 700 people. There's been a big community thing going on around that, as well as recreation. We've started another community just for our youth, ages 14 to 24. And so there's a whole nother little thing that we're going on there. And that's just now really, really getting started.
Alongside their new initiatives, Disability Connections is still doing the bread and butter work of any SIL. Nursing home transitions, assistive device training and installation, peer support, and advocacy haven't fallen off during this time. Kimberly Harrell is a consumer in the Macon area who lives with epilepsy. Her seizures made it difficult to hold a job, which, by extension, made housing a struggle for her and her 2 children. In the following clip, I apologize for any background noise. This interview was conducted informally in Ms. Harrell's kitchen, in the house that Disability Connections helped her find.
They Section 8 Disability Connection, they had a whole lot to do with it. They kept in contact. Are they calling you? Did they get your paperwork? Did they get everything? Good. And they actually was the ones that kind of helped gather my information for me, because I mean, when I tell you it was a hard time, it was a hard time. Me and my kids, me and my 16-year-old and my 10-year-old, we had to move to Albany and stay in a 1-bedroom apartment with my sister. It was kind of like rough. If it wasn't for Disability Connection kind of helping me, like push this thing through, I wouldn't have got this far. So I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. It's wonderful, and I appreciate it. Like my kids, they're like, Mom, we got our own space. It's been such a help and an honor for them to work with me, because I've had so many places to tell me with these seizures I be having and stuff like that. It's rough, to kind of get living off of the small income that I get. Yeah. So with Disability Connection help, it kind of pushed the application on through, and it helped me out a whole bunch. I mean, it's not, as you would say, the glamorous life, but I love it. It's beautiful. And my kids, they are so happy. And it helps.
Debra Davidson is another consumer with Disability Connections who received some assistive technology to help her live more independently in her own apartment. Throughout this soundbite, when Debra references a he or him, she's talking about Edwin McWilliams, a peer supporter at Disability Connections who helped install the device she needed.
I suffer with rheumatoid arthritis. It's bad in my knees. It's bad all over. My knees really take effect of it. And plus, I got COPD, sarcoidosis, and sleep apnea. I got it all. And I be tired and sluggish sometimes. Yeah. And so he came to me. I heard about him through other people. And I called him. And I told him, I said, I need something. I explained my situation to him. He said, well, I have something. I said, I can't run back and forth to that door like that. I said, it's ringing. I can't get to it. I bust out and y'all stop ringing that bell so many times because I can't get to it no faster. And so he explained the machine that he was talking about. He explained to me the do's and don'ts of it. And this even before we got the device. He told me how it worked and how it be a tremendous help for a person like me. And I said, it sure would, So I asked him, would he do it for me? Would he get me one? And he told me yes. He came by here. We met. He still explained it to me. What could happen if this happened. If that we still ain't got no device though. But we're going on all the instructions. And we're going off that, all over that if this happened, And he came back and installed it. And it's been a blessing to me, a tremendous blessing. I don't have to run to no door no more. I can see who I am. I can say, I'm not letting you in. I didn't have a choice last time, but I have one now. And if I don't want to answer the door, I don't want to answer the door.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm having a pretty good time.
Okay, that's great.
Without him going around and teaching us how to live a good life, You ain't got to depend on your children. You ain't got to stay in your house. You can just stay like you want to stay and be really safe and comfortable.
Just like their community-based assistive technology and housing services, Disability Connections also uses their savvy media skills to make themselves known in their local area.
We've gotten involved with filming live adaptive sports, and it's the high school association. It's a very official handball, basketball, and football sports, and Houston County is certainly a strong athletic arena in that. So we have started a media program trying to include people with significant disabilities to be a part of that production process. But we've made such an incredible connection with the adaptive sports program, and some even on the statewide level of collaborating together and allowing us to film some of their games. But one of our most recent candidates that we hired was a former Houston County Shark, and she's working out great. I've been impressed with a lot of those young people involved in that. So we're trying to get some of the athletes and maybe some of the friends or some of the people in the school to potentially be a part of our media team, even if they've even graduated. But if you go to our website at disabilityconnections.com and click on our past episodes, we basically got to film all of their basketball games in the this past winter. And so we're hoping to do more this fall and winter and spring of next year, especially as we develop more involvement in that. And we're working on not only the video production things, but other art things that we're doing. We're teaching two-dimensional animation. This one young man who's worked with us, who has autism, has produced. His work is phenomenal. Even by the Canadian makers of this software called Toon Boon have been totally impressed and with the cleanliness and really the incredible skills that he has, and he's used it to express himself. Now he is a teacher of it. He learned on his own. Now he's creating courses on our community website. And the new student that I just got, who used to be a Shark, is an animator herself, and she's using his courses to actually produce content for our summer camp.
But always at the core of their digital offerings is the desire to be the best possible conduit for information and resources that help individuals in need.
We work really, really hard to treat people in a very respectful way. We've had many people come to us and said, I've gone through the runaround, and even from the information and resource referral aspect of working with folks, and that we work hard and make sure that our people answering the phones take time. There's nothing going to replace that human face-to-face or ear-to-ear connection. And we work very, very hard to make sure that when you call us, that it's organic. We're not perfect, and we do have turnover from time to time, and so we have our challenges, and every center does. But we work really, really hard to try to treat people in a holistic way and make sure that they are connected with every resource that we can think of.
And that's where we'll wrap up our conversation today. For more information on Disability Connections and their online initiatives, you can visit disabilityconnections.com or disabilityconnections.tv. Thank you to Michael, Kimberly, and Debra for speaking with us for today's episode. And thank you for listening to Accessibility Now, stories about accessibility in Georgia. Accessibility Now is a podcast produced by the statewide Independent Living Council of Georgia. If you want to find out more about that organization, you can visit us at silkga.org. That's silcga.org. This has been your host, Desi Gillespie, and I just want to close by reminding you that a Georgia that includes everyone is better for all of us.